Welcome to Witty Storytellers online first ever international speech contest. We have a wonderful array of guests and judges and speakers. Our 4 speakers who compete are in order: Brian Dodd, Svetlana Rakimova, Donald McKendy, and Graham Kertz. I would like everyone to unmute unless they are the one who making the noise. So while we speakers speak, we can hear the reaction of the audience. And please don't forget that even showing yourself, appreciating a speech may help a lot the speaker. I am the contest chair, as well the president, but here now I am contest chair in a chair. And that is why I can be contest chair, because I don't have to stand up each time to tell who is the next. So let the contest begin. The first to speak will be Brian Dodd with a speech, "Make your dream your life." Make your dream your life. Brian Dodd.
How many of you here remember your dreams when you were a pre-teen? I assume the rest of you are like me. You know, as I get older, it's farther and farther away from being that pre-teen and to remember dreams. Madam Contest Chair, ladies and gentlemen, I am not talking about those sleepy dreams. I'm talking about your daydreams. Don't, like Martin Luther King, I have a dream, as he stood on the steps of the Washington Lincoln Memorial that August day in 1963. Some of you might have dreamed of being a policewoman. Well, I know one person in the world that dreamed of being the Prime Minister of Canada. And he is. In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you how you can make your dream into a reality. There are 4 steps to the process. The first thing is you get in your mind's eye your dream. You put it in your head and you glue it there, so it'll stay there forever. Get a ring binder and splurge. Get the leather bound ring binder, because this ring binder is going to be with you for a while. I like the 1.5-inch ones. You know, they're not too fat and not too skinny. Some fancy dividers, good quality paper, a pen, a pencil, and a bunch of markers of different colors. Now, with your ring binder there, sit and go on Wikipedia. We'll use the policewoman's example. and you type in policewoman and hit the search key. Up will pop a bunch of options that you see. Start reading and reading, and go to the bottom where the references are. There might be a terrific book there that you can read on how you can become a policewoman. Now you're ready to start step 2. And step 2 is the plan. You need a mentor. I don't recommend your parents because they're biased, but somebody you know and trust to give you honest advice. Sit down with a mentor with your notes that you've got and start your plan. Start at the end. Take that dream, if you haven't already written it out, take that goal, where you want to be, and write it out. That goes under the last tab. And as a friend of mine says, backward shape it. It doesn't matter which way you go. You could be in the middle. Your mentor will help you. Now you've got everything ready. And step number 3. Start at the first item. I call this the doing part, and work your way through. One step at a time. Don't rush it, just one step at a time. And reward yourself each step. Depends on the step. You might go with a friend for coffee or something like that. If it's a big step, you might all get your friends together and go out and whoa, have a little party at that stage. And finally, when you get to the last step, be like the football players in the United States. I'm going to Disneyland. Now, one thing I didn't dwell on very much is the mentor. What if you can't find a mentor? I have an idea for you. You need to join, if you're 18, if you're under 18, join a gavel club. It's free to join and it's free to be a member. For those of you who are over 18, put in your search engine where leaders are made. And that's going to pop you up some choices. You might ask, how much does it cost to join? Well, if you took your friend to a movie, whether you go Dutch treat or not, doesn't matter. It would not cost you any more than going to the movie and having a giant popcorn to share and a pop each. That's all it costs you. It's a one-time fee. And thirdly, and finally, it does cost you a little bit every month. And I did some research the other day. I went to McDonald's and tested this out. Had a McAngus, large fries, and a large drink. The monthly fee doesn't cost you any more than that. And what will you find there? You can find your mentor. You can find people that will help you improve your confidence. They will help you on your track of your goals to get there. And how do you find such a club? Well, once again, where leaders are made. Up will pop Toastmasters.org and make your dream your life.
1 minute silence, please. Tell me when it is finished.
I can't see the timer, but it's well over a minute.
Yes, the timer told us it is finished, but
Yes, ma'am.
we will begin. The second speaker today in our contest is Svetlana Rakimova with the speech, The Green Coat. The Green Coat, Svetlana Rakimova. You can unmute yourself if you want, and if you don't make noise.
Madam Contest Chair, dear Witty Storytellers, club members, and guests, do you have a favorite clothing item? Do you? I do. My favorite green coat, exactly like it looks on the medieval painting from Karakal, Pakistan. And the green coat, which I love, is a gift from Karakal, Pakistan. At the time when I was working there in one of my projects, I received it. It's very thin, shimmering velvet, and it has delicate embroidery along the edges, along the perimeter of the whole coat, and it's too elegant for a home gown, and I love it. As I said, it comes from Karakal, Pakistan, which is an autonomous republic in the northwest of Uzbekistan. The country has become famous for the Aral Sea, which is the only sea on the planet which dried up entirely due to the human activity. This is how the sea looked in 1977, and this is how it looked in 2010, yes. And now, this is how the seabed looks like, with some stranded there, rustic and all that. And we hear that the sand with poisonous dust is raised into the sky and is taken to London, Luxembourg, Paris, and Moscow. And I say, hey, hi, from the Aral Sea with love, because it was dried up as the rivers that were feeding it were diverted to agricultural needs, and Uzbekistan was growing and delivering to the rest of the world 6 million tons of cotton. You know, when my friend Asil asked me which color I liked, I almost said green. But then I Googled, you know, these days it's good to give an accurate answer. And it appeared that by date of birth, I am a Martian. And my color is red. And I thought, you know, we Martians love planet Earth. And while the Earthlings look at Mars and want to terraform it to create living conditions like on Earth, we, the Martians who were born on Earth, we want to terraform the areas of the Earth which became dehydrated, deforested, and devastated beyond recognition due to human activity. When I Google the satellite maps, I can see the rainforests of America and Asia and Siberia. I can feel the fresh, cool leaves of those forests. I can feel the breeze in the forest, the wind blowing the leaves. I can hear the birds singing, and I can see the bees collecting pollen. I think of bees that are disappearing together with some of the forests. And you know that our food accounts, 70% of our food accounts to pollination from bees. And why are they disappearing? I'm thinking, you know, the trees, the wild growing trees that are not affected by gardening and pesticides, they have the most of the blossoming, and they provide the nutrition from early spring to autumn for the bees. Uzbekistan actually cannot afford having a lot of cotton growing and all that, because in the center of the country there is a desert called Kızılkum. It's 300,000 square kilometers. But the good news is that under the vast deserts like the Sahara and deserts of Saudi Arabia and deserts of Uzbekistan, there is fresh water hidden very deep. And the precipitation is only 200 millimeters a year. So I was born in a very privileged area of Uzbekistan where we have very big trees. And those are wild growing trees that take care of themselves. They grow very fast. They become high as 20, 30 meters. And they multiply themselves through seeds, roots, and shoots. They are leaf-bearing trees with huge foliage that falls in autumn. And I was thinking that we could probably find a way of putting all those seeds and foliage that comes in autumn, cover those vast areas of barren land with the seeds and leaves that we collect from the streets. But my dream is to cover the deserts with a green coat of the endemic trees like elms and ash trees and walnuts and acacia and sapphira and oaks and other trees that are also honey trees that will provide living for the bees that pollinate our food. And I hope that in the coming days, I will find a way of doing it, and I will find people who are like-minded and will join me in developing and carrying out this project. Thank you.
Please, 1 minute of silence and Timekeepers tell us when the 1 minute is finished. Thank you.
One minute is over.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Donald McKendy, Hackett in the Tree. Hackett in the Tree, Donald McKendy.
How many people here have received a diploma at one time or another? And how many of you found out that when you got your first job that you really didn't know very much? Let me tell you a story about a young man who had that very experience. He grew up in the city, got himself a forestry degree. His first job was at the Pacific Northwest Research Center in the state of Washington. He showed up at the job and he was approached by a short, stocky, 55-year-old man. Hello, my name is Richard. You can call me Dick. Nice to meet you. Follow me. He took the young man into the forest to a tree that was magnificent. It was 6 feet across and nearly 300 feet high. Do you know what type of tree this is? Well, yes, sir. It's a Douglas fir tree. Very good. When I was your age, I took a hatchet and I put it in that tree right at eye level. And now it's 30 feet up there. Wow, that's pretty cool. You have a forestry degree and you don't even know how a tree grows. If I had put the hatchet here 30 years ago, it would still be here. Trees grow from the top up. Time to put away your books, college boy, and learn something about the forest. Their job description was to go into an old-growth forest and do an ecological study. The first challenge was to remove the vine maple that was in the way of getting around in a forest. Now, vine maple is a shrub that grows 20 to 30 feet high, and it has multiple stems that cross each other and causes a great problem in cutting them because there's so much tension that if you hit the wrong branch, it'll break and it actually could kill a man. So Dick took the young man, by now you figured out that was me, and showed me how to cut these trees to release the tension. And then he let me do it on my own. Well, I cut down 5 or 6, no problem. Walked up to the next one very confidently, took my chainsaw, without evaluating, stuck it in a tree, and the branch hit me and knocked me to the ground, about 10 feet away from the tree. As I looked up with a headache through my foggy eyes, I saw a man standing there. Well, son, the forest has a way of knocking sense into a man. Over the next 2 or 3 months, he taught me how the whole forest is intertwined. Everything has a purpose. from the smallest bacteria to the largest trees, and of course the animals. And speaking of animals, my favorite were the flying squirrels. Flying squirrels have a pad under their front legs, and they don't fly, but they glide from tree to tree and knock down cones for the winter. It looked like they're having so much fun. Well, one warm afternoon, I decided to take a nap under one of the largest fir trees. As I'm laying there about half asleep, I feel this pap pap on the top of my head. I thought that was kind of odd. And I look up, and there's the two squirrels. They're dropping cones on me. Their names were Fred and Wilma. Now, Fred and Wilma apparently didn't like me being there. Now, I just thought I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But as I moved away from the tree, they followed me out on the branch, and they kept dropping cones on me. So out of self-defense, I started grabbing cones and throwing them, which is absolutely laughable. There's no way that I'm going to throw a cone 100 feet in the air and hit anything. And meanwhile, they're just pelting me. Well, I hear from a distance, when you're done playing with the squirrels, we have work to do. Well, all good things must come to an end. At the end of the summer, Dick invited me to his house for a barbecue. I consumed 2 very large, juicy cheeseburgers and the best homemade apple pie I have ever had. He then took me out on his deck, gave me an ice cold beer. He went into his shed and he brought out of his shed a homemade wooden box about this big. Son, over the last few months, you have become a forester, and I want you to have this as a keepsake. I took the box, and on top was engraved Tiger, which he never called me, but he knew that was my name. I unlatched the box, and inside was one of the most meaningful gifts I have ever received. For inside that box was an old, rusty, wooden-handled hatchet that had been in that tree that he showed me at the very beginning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
1 minute silence. Please, timer, tell us when 1 minute is over.
One minute is over. Julie, 1 minute is over.
I heard, thank you. Our first contestant is Graham Cairns. The more things change. The more things change, Graham Cairns. And
There's a line.
Just don't
There's a
make-
line in the movie. Sorry, Julie, I'm ready to start, but I'm waiting until. No.
Yes.
There's a line in the movie The Blues Brothers where an excited waitress says, "Music, we know music. We've got both kinds of music here, country and Western." Now, that was meant as a joke, but I have to tell you, anybody who's ever worked in a small town radio station knows that it is just so true. I grew up in the largest city in Australia, and then as a teenager moved to another capital city, and I had no experience of country music. And so when I got my first job in radio, it was inevitable that it would be on a country music show. You see, the thing about radio is that, like every job, the new kid always gets the job that nobody else wants. And in the case of 4LG Longreach, my first radio station, that was Ranch Club. 2 hours of country and Western request music. Now, these days I know the difference between country and Western. Then it was all just a mess. But the first songs that I ever played on the radio were an Australian cover version of the Cal Smith classic, "Daddy, I hope you'll forgive her. I'm sending this letter with love. I'm sending it airmail to heaven to your new home up above." Oh, it was dog's vomit. And it was followed by an Australian artist, Slim Dusty, real hillbilly stuff with "The biggest disappointment in the family was me." Well, I knew exactly how he felt at that point. The third song, this was a ribald little ditty by a local called Johnny Chester, "Lonely Women Make Good Lovers." Oh, yeah. The fact that I can still remember these three songs 40 years later probably tells you how deeply, deeply damaged my psyche was. But this is the thing about radio. The new kid gets the stuff that nobody wants, and that hasn't changed in the 40 years since I started. Something else that hasn't changed in the 40 years since I began in radio are funeral announcements. You see, in small country towns where the local newspaper might only come out once a week, people can die and be buried before their friends even know that they're gone. And so to fill the gap, radio stations play funeral announcements, normally at a peak time of the morning, and they'll go something like, "Ladies and gentlemen, we now pause to offer our condolences and deepest sympathy before reading the following funeral announcement. The relatives and friends of the late Fred Nurk are respectfully invited to attend his funeral, which will take place at St Zacchaeus the Tax Collector Church in Eagle Street, Longreach at 2 p.m. this afternoon for interment in the Catholic section of the Longreach Cemetery." Now, while that was playing, there'd be this horrible, turgid, maudlin organ music, sort of like the Phantom of the Opera, but not the 80s, 90s version. No, we're talking the Claude Rains version of Phantom of the Opera. And then at the end of the funeral announcement, you'd fade that organ music, and then you'd leave a pause before you move to the next event. Which couldn't be a commercial, of course, because if you were an advertiser, would you want your commercial to be next to dead people? No. So it would have to be a song. I have to tell you, and these are all purely accidental, I have heard some, let's say, inappropriate songs played after funeral announcements. One of my favourites is the Bee Gees, "Wah, wah, 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 staying alive, staying alive." Up and away, or worse still, "I fell into a burning ring of fire." They were terrible songs, and they were all chosen purely by accident. I never made that mistake. I didn't. But I came so very, very close once. I had just read a funeral announcement for this particularly crabby old biddy. You know, the sort of woman that people were only going to turn up to the funeral just to make sure that she was actually dead. You know the type. Well, I just read this funeral announcement for her, and I was perhaps half a second away from playing the record when I realised that the song that I had queued up this morning was "Ding Dong, the witch is dead, witch, oh witch, the wicked witch." Let's just say that that's quite longer than normal pause that day while I frantically queued up something else. But I dodged that bullet. I have to say, I didn't dodge every bullet, though. One of the other things that happens with young radio announcers in small city stations is you tend to come along and have forgotten to bring dinner, for example. So you head down to the local cafe, or sometimes you just got to go to the bathroom, and so you put on a long record. My favourite was Creedence Clearwater Revival's Heard It Through the Grapevine. It ran 11 minutes and 43 seconds, the album version. And so I put it on and I went down to the Boomerang Cafe and I got my hamburger and I came back. It showed that about 30 seconds after I'd left the studio, it had hit a scratch. And so for 4.5 minutes, all the audience had heard was, heard it through that, 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 heard it through that. Embarrassing, I have to say. But not as embarrassing as this one last story, which I'll tell you, which I think sums up small town radio. I was sitting there ready to read the news one morning at 7:30, peak time in breakfast. The breakfast announcer is sitting on the other side of the desk, and he introduced a song and he made a complete and utter dog's breakfast of it. It was terrible. And he threw off his headphones and he looked at me and he went, bleep, I really bleep that one up, didn't I? Well, I just pointed to the on-air light over his shoulder. He looked at it, looked back at me, went, oh, bleep, and then turned the microphone off. Now, I mentioned this story not to embarrass him, although I will tell you that he no longer works in radio. Last I heard, he was installing car radios in a suburb near me. But I tell you this to tell you this. We didn't get a single complaint that day. Not one. Not a phone call. Not a letter. Not an email. Well, we couldn't have got an email because they weren't emails in those days, but nothing, not even a telex to say that was a bad thing. Which means one of two things. Either nobody was listening, and at 7:30 on a weekday morning that seems unlikely, or they thought, this is 4LG. This sort of stuff happens all the time. And quite frankly, I don't know which is more depressing. Madam Contest Chair.
2 minutes silence, please.
Madam Contest Chair, point of order. May I?
Yes.
This is unlimited silence until all the judges have completed their ballots, please. I'm trying to type it into the chat for you, but it's very hard. So please. Can I just announce it?
Yes.
Okay. So we are following Toastmasters International Contest rules, which state that if there are only 4 contestants, only the first and second place winners will be announced. The third place winner will be privately informed. But as far as the announcement, only the second and the first will be announced. Also, I regret to advise everyone that there was one-time disqualification. And again, in keeping with Toastmasters International rules, the person's name will not be announced. Therefore, are we ready with the drum roll? Are we ready to hear the second and first place? Drum roll. Dun, 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 dun. The second place winner was, drum roll some more, clap, 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 clap. Graham.
Hey, thank you.
Graham Kearns, second place winner. And drum roll for our Witty Storytellers speech champion, Tiger McCandy. Thank you very much, and thank you so much to all the wonderful guests and friends and judges who helped. And let us give an amazingly big round of applause to our 2 dual role ballot counter and timer. Let's give a big hand to Asil. I cannot clap because I'm holding my phone, but please clap for me. There. Clap, 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 clap. Thank you so much. And back to you, Madam Contest Chair.
Let's give a big round of applause to Michelle and all the judges she found and who came today.
Thank you.
we were. And again, a big round of applause for our two winners, Graham and Tiger.
Clap, clap, clap,
Well
clap,
done, Tiger.
clap.
Good job, Graham.
And I would like to tell you, it is not my place, but I will tell you that personal stories always pay. They are always the best, in my opinion.
Raju, long time no see. And I really like all the stories. Lots and lots of fun, and I'm enjoying the messages from all the contestants.
Thank you so much, Gina. And I believe we have one more speech champion from the Philippines. She is best with humor, but also a very good international speaker. Joanna, are you still there? And I know you as Joko, so I probably am mispronouncing the Joanna. Joko Magalong, and I'm afraid to say the new last name, De Vera. De Vera, there. Joko, are you still there, or did you get to the airport? I think she already got to the airport.
Yeah, I don't see her.
I think she's gone.
Yeah, she had to catch she was catching a flight. Wow, I mean, I love this friends. Okay, so moving from the Philippines, I believe, what would be the closest? Well, I'm shifting over to Europe. Bea, are you still? I'm sorry because I can't see. Oh yeah,
Yes.
Bea is still with us, district director from Budapest. And Bea is not a first timer with us. In fact, she is a charter member.
Yeah, this is correct.
Bea.
Good morning, everyone from Hungary, Europe. And unfortunately, I do hold trainings most of the Thursdays, so I could not continue attending regularly, but I do try to attend whenever I can. This was a fantastic meeting, very good. And this was my very first contest, a virtual contest. I've been on many contests in person at every level, I could say, but that was my very first virtual contest. So I'm very grateful that I could participate, and congratulations to all the speakers. You were all very well prepared, and I think that these speeches gave me a lot to think, plenty of food for thought for the day, and I hope to come back as often as possible.
Thank you so much. Since we are somewhat Eastern Europe Central, let's move down to still part of Europe, Turkey. Denise, tell us about your experience. I know you've been online very often, but I think this might be your second or third online contest. Anyway, tell us a bit about your impressions, Denise.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for inviting me. And it's great to be with this club. I really enjoyed the contest and comments. I really like this witty storytellers, like storytelling mood in this club. And unfortunately, Thursday mornings for me here fits with my business hours. So it's very hard to come to all the meetings, but I'm having an eye on your club meetings. And I really enjoyed the online contest. Right now, I'm the president of one of the online clubs here, so it's very new. But I think we should do an online contest at least next year. So that inspired me. Thank you very much.
Great. So we have inspired. I know the presidential citation last year at the Toastmasters International Convention. She started clubs. And moving from far away, I want to ask somebody from here in Oregon, Janet. Janet rushed over another contest to be with us. So Janet, what was your impression? I think it might be your second time and Witty Storytellers, but might be your first online contest. Oh, I hope she didn't fall asleep
No.
later.
Still muted.
Janet, you're still muted. Do you want to demute yourself? Can anybody unmute Janet?
I tried to unmute her, but it
Julie,
doesn't
you might. Yes. So, Julie, you might control back, because I think I'm having trouble now with my signals. I'm sorry. I know there's so many other people I would like to talk with, but I'm sorry, Julie. Do you want to take control, because I think I'm losing now.
Yes.
Thank you so
Janet,
much to everyone.
Could you unmute yourself? We don't hear you until you unmute yourself. Or you can write in the chat box. So Auntie Janet unmutes herself. Perhaps Nick, you can unmute yourself and tell how you felt about this meeting.
Thank you, Madam Contest Chair. I really enjoyed it. I've only been a Toastmaster for 2.5 years. I've only seen, and I've actually been contest chair as well. I've only seen like 4 or 5 contests. My first online contest, and in a way it was a lot less stressful, but when that silent comes in and that 1 minute, it's a long time online. So, and I'm sitting here, even though I'm muted, I'm actually really, really quiet. So the atmosphere really got to me today, and that was really good. And the speakers were wonderful. Organization was fantastic. So congratulations to everybody and well done. Thank you.
Nadia, can you speak?
Sure, I'm here.
So tell us your opinion of our meeting today.
Oh, I loved it. This was my first time seeing an online contest. So I was just wondering how it was going to be done, and it flowed really well. I don't know what Michelle's part was. I don't know how she did that. I don't know if she was like in a separate room or if the judges were texting her their results or how that whole part of it worked. But it was nice to see the flow of an online contest, and I hope it's something that we do regularly, maybe a quarter or twice a year. We can just have our own contests now that the district or international has gone to 1 time a year. That's not a lot for contests, so maybe we can have something in the future again, because I liked it.
Yes, thank you very much. Are you a member?
I'm sorry?
Are you already a member?
Yes, this is me. This is Nadia.
Okay, thank you. I hope you will be also contestant.
Yes.
Next time, if you like, you can be. Next time we will have a humorous contest, and that will be this fall. Because the new pass, humor pass, is out, and I think all our members is interested, and we will prepare for it more. Svetlana will speak about it more and about our next meeting. Is there anyone who has not yet spoken yet? Who is here? Karen, yeah, please.
Julie, thank you very much. And I have to say thank you to Essel, who invited me today to listen to the storytelling. In fact, I've never been to storytelling kind of session, online especially. And today I'm very, very impressed, and it's very good. The organization seems to be flowing very smooth, and everybody has got opportunity to talk. Yes, I enjoyed very much, and thank you very much for the invitation. Back to you, Julie.
come back when you can.
Sure.
Janet, can you speak now? No, we don't hear you.
I would like to tell a little story of something I did today, which really inspires me. I'm part of a Canadian government has Skills Canada, and just 4 years ago they introduced